Hello. For my presentation, I got literature review mapping. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss how to create a literature review mapping and what the use of it is for. So out of the literature review process, we would be here at the identifying the gaps, relations, and variances between the different articles, publications, citations, literatures that we are receiving. We would create a map with all of those. What is a literature review map? It is a visual aid on the topic at hand or of your research question. It is a diagram according to the research. It contains the concepts, the authors, themes, citations, the publication dates, the problem, and how all of it relates to each other. Why are literature review maps important? That shows the patterns, gaps, relationships, and trends within the literature and the publications that you have read. It's not a summary of the articles, but it highlights the main details of each article. It helps us see how the research talks to itself and explains and highlights the details within within the articles. How to start with your literature review mapping. You want to figure out what your question is, what your research question is, or what the dilemma is. What are you trying to determine by reading all of the articles that you have to go through? Are you trying to compare two different methods or two different styles of something? Are you trying to determine which discipline is better than the other? Your question will help you create your map, and it'll help others understand why it looks the way it does. You usually want to start off. What I searched for is some of the maps they're very extensive in their research. They have anywhere from about 30 to 40 different articles that they research or review. Of course, here with this class, we are only doing about 9 to 12. So we're starting off with anywhere from 9 to 12 different articles. And that's how we're going to create our rough draft for our map. Again, our literature review maps, they're not summaries of any of the articles. So we want to kind of focus on the key words here. We're doing brief explanations of the map, giving highlights of the main topics and or ideas to help create the subtopics and evidence behind it. We don't want to overanalyze too much with the information into your map. We want the reader to stay engaged when they're reviewing the map and also when they're reviewing our literature review. So we want to really make it simplified for them. This is where we will categorize our information. We'll use keywords, searches that we used, databases used, the number of articles, the number of citations or publications, and also we can divide it into the dates and the years that the publications were done. Next, you would be introducing your map. There's two different styles of maps, the hierarchical mapping and a circular map. I'm going to kind of go over both of those. Here's where you kind of explain your key points to the article. You start with your research question or your topic, your dilemma, and then you go on to different nodes, and each node represents an article. So I know I just started off with 3 here, but you will have a total of anywhere from 9 to 12, since that's what our assignment entails. After that, each node, the main topics, then you'll go into the evidence-based topics, and you'll kind of give more detail there. Each node represents a citation or a publication. And some maps and most maps I noticed, actually all maps, they have different sizes and colors. So that gives the larger the size, the more content the article has, the more relevance it has. Also, the color represents the year The cooler colors are the older years and the warmer colors are the newer publications. Again, this was just an example here. I did not go too far into depth with my research yet for this for this map. Just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like. Within the mapping, you want to find the key connections or the links within the articles. You want to see if there's any gaps. How do the articles differ from one another? Is there any missing information or any controversial topics or subjects within the articles? And that's where you would kind of add that information here. The main thing is the metadata. You want the keywords or any methodology or any findings you want to add here as well. This type of mapping, the hierarchical, can continue as long as there's evidence that shows and proves that it should continue on. Here is the circular mapping. This one kind of can get a little bit confusing, especially for me just in my eyes. So if you don't like circle maps, then probably don't want to watch this slide. But again, we have our center topic, our research question, our dilemma, what we're trying to prove. Then we have our outer nodes, which are the articles that are within the research. And you can tell that they're different shades. Then we have our next nodes within the years, the authors, connecting them within the articles, connecting the gaps, if there are any gaps, trying to close those. You can tell that there are the different shades as well. And remember, those have different meanings within them. Here is an image I got from the library, smu.edu. It was funny when I was looking through this article, it mentioned that it's simple and easy to use and a one-shot tool. When I just visually look at this, I do see the colors, I do see the lines connecting everything. I do see the authors and the dates, but I do get quite overwhelmed when looking at this. So try to remember, again, we're not going to have 30 to 40 articles that we're looking at. We're going to have 9 to 12. Try to make it as simple and as easy for you to read, because if it's easy for you to read, it would be easy for us to follow as the reader. Here is a website that I found, LitMaps. It was really the only free literature review mapping site that I found.
Okay, so here we are.
You do have to log in, register. I logged in under Google, and I'll explain this in the video that I made.
Here. This is one
but I'll have
for
you guys
students.
watch it and see
it's
what
something
you think.
that they say is pretty easy to use. I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit, and it does seem fairly easy. You do have to create an account. I just logged in with my Google account, which was super easy to do. So here, I'm just going to kind of search in here for an article. I did AI in, let's say, adult education. And click enter. Then it brings me into all of these articles. Scroll down to see which article that I want to kind of search and look into a little bit more. So let's just say, let's pick this one, the AI-based adult education model. It gives me the article here. I can look into the abstract and see if it fits into my literature review. If it doesn't, then I would come back over here and look for another article that would fit into my literature review. This one probably isn't the best one because it does only have 5 references and 0 citations. So it might not give me a whole lot, but I can go ahead and just try it. So we'll explore related articles and it'll generate a nice little literature review map here. May take a second. So here's of course some of the articles, and it kind of gives you a line of how they're connected. And then it comes over here with some of the articles that they picked. You can click on them and it gives you more information there. Let's exit out of this. Let's go back, and then let's say we didn't like that article. I'm going to come back up here and do the AI in adult education maybe add curriculum, maybe simplify it a little bit more. Oh, and now it's going to ask me to upgrade. So I'm going to just go ahead and continue without, but that's just kind of how you can get into lit maps a little bit more. You probably, of course, would have to pay more to get more access, which is unfortunate here, but it is something that is, looks like it would be very helpful and useful to your literature review later on. Going to exit out here and we'll continue on with the presentation. There was another map that I found off of SMU Library, but it was created on Lit Maps. They're really pushing on the Lit Maps. But this one was more simplistic. You could tell here it had the authors and the dates along with it. And then as the person were to hover over each of those circles, each of the nodes, the article would pop up onto the left side there. So I wanted to kind of show you another look that lit maps would be able to do for us if you were to use it. So this concludes my literature review mapping presentation. I hope it was helpful. Again, literature review maps, they're not summaries of every article. It is bringing all the articles together, piecing them together by keywords, by authors, by dates of the publications, the citations that are involved with them. And it's mainly for the readers to kind of see and navigate the literature reviews that you have reviewed. Please be kind when watching my presentation. This was a really tough project for me. Thank you.